Good morning, everyone. It is I, Emily, everyone's favorite booktuber. Just kidding. Today, I am going to do an experiment video, and essentially, I have been wanting to do this experiment for a long time, and I just never did it, specifically because I keep falling in and out of reading. Essentially, a lot of you probably know that on YouTube, there's this common trend about the whole, if you like this, then you will like this tag. If you didn't know, you probably did know, but Goodreads kind of does the same thing. When you are looking up a book on Goodreads, for example, let's just say I'm looking up Almost Midnight on Goodreads, on the side they will suggest other books that other people enjoyed that you might also like if you enjoyed reading that one book. I have picked 5 books today that I have enjoyed based on that. I am going to be reading them and then comparing them back to the books that I have read. So let's jump into the vlog. So the first book I'm going to be looking up in 27 Days by Alison Gervis. This book was originally published on Wattpad. I have read both the published version and the Wattpad version, so pretty similar. There's not much of a difference. There's a bit of a difference, but not much of a difference. This book is my favorite book of 2019. Let's see what it recommends me. What it recommends me, it is a Wattpad book, which I'm not really surprised about, so that should be easy. It says, recommends me, I sold myself to the devil, 4 vinyls, pitiful, I know, by darkness and light. So this is a Wattpad book, I believe, because it looks like a Wattpad book. I think it recommended me specifically because it's a Wattpad book, and in 27 Days was a Wattpad book, essentially. It says, Lexi Grayson is a normal teenager, as normal as she can be, with her unobserving skills and her overthinking mind, but she might need the overthinking if she wants to unravel the smirking mystery that is Blake Eaton. It just seems like a regular contemporary with some mysterious guy, which I do like that. I think the only things I found similar, first of all, is that they're both Wattpad books, and that Archer's kind of mysterious, so I guess Blake's mysterious. That's only what I got from the synopsis, so we'll go from there. The next book I have on my list is my favorite book series of all time, which is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. I don't know if you can even some people have tried to find things that compare to it, but there's nothing really like it. I'm curious what they'll recommend to me. Goodreads, do what you gotta do. Shadow and Bone. I'm like, I can't read Six of Crows without reading Shadow and Bone. So, I do not own Shadow and Bone, so I know they have that at the library. Hello, editing Emily from the future. I was editing this video, and I'm kind of upset because my video did not save of my genuine reactions to the rest of my TBR and what else I was reading. It didn't show up, which is freaking annoying. I'm annoyed about that. I don't know why that happened, so we're just gonna roll with it. Basically, I think I explained it clearly, but I'm reading Shadow and Bone because of The Raven Boys, so we have that down. The next thing I have is I wanted to find... I have Fangirl was my next book. I can't give my genuine reactions, but yeah. Anyways, Fangirl was my next book, and the book, I was looking for like a book that like talked about like fandom culture and stuff like that. A lot of the things that like Fangirl talked about. So I was looking for something like that. Instead, I got recommended Paper Towns by John Green. Honestly, like, I've seen the movie for this book. I'm reading it at this point in the vlog, so I guess you'll know what time I'm filming it. But without spoiling my reactions for you, I have seen the movie, and I can already tell you that Fangirl and Paper Towns are nothing alike, and I don't really want to read this book, to be honest. I don't really want to read this book because I've seen the movie and I just didn't really like the movie when I saw it, that I had no interest in reading the book afterwards, and that's all I'm going to tell you about my feelings for now. Then we had The Selection by Kiera Cass. I love this story. I love the whole competing competition thing for the Prince's Heart, and I love royalty, so I guess that's what I was looking for in another book. And I got recommended Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, which I know these are both, like, dystopian fantasy-ish books. Selection's not fantasy, but this one's more fantasy, but I think they're both dystopian, and they both deal with royalty, because obviously Red Queen. And then the last book I picked off my shelves. You probably have heard me blabbering on in at least one of my reading blogs or at some point how much I love a best friend relationship. So I picked Better Off Friends by Elizabeth Huberg, hoping I would be recommended a book that included a best friend relationship. I got recommended Love Letters to the Dead, which after reading the synopsis I don't think has anything to do with a best friend relationship. It sounds way more depressing and not lighthearted at all as Better Off Friends was. So I don't know if this is exactly what I'm looking for, but I do hope I like all of these books. That is the books are on my TBR, so let's jump in to the rest of the reading vlog when I actually receive these books. Pretend you never saw that I have this physically in my hand, and I go more in depth to the synopsis and stuff like that, so enjoy that. Hey guys, so it is the 11th of January, so it's about a week or so later after I filmed that video, so I've now gotten all of the books. So some of them I know what they're about and others I don't know what they're about. We're just gonna dive into it. The first one is the Wattpad book, which I think I think I read the synopsis for all of these at one point, but some of them I forgot what they are about. Hopefully you can see it, but it says, I sold myself to the devil for Vinyls. Pitiful, I know, she's slowly editing it, and it's 94 parts, so that's quite a long book. From what I remember, it's like, I think the guy was mysterious, and hence why, because Archer from In 27 Days is mysterious, that is why it was recommended, I guess. This is my assumption on why I'm getting recommended these. I'm sure it's a love story, and Blake's mysterious, probably like somewhat hate to love in a sense. I don't know if I'm gonna like it or not. Wattpad's a iffy place. The next I have Shadow and Bone by Liga Bardugo. This one I've read the synopsis for, I started it, so I feel like I should know what it's about. The next I have Shadow and Bone by Liga Bardugo. This one I've read the synopsis for, I started it, so I feel like I should know what it's about, but I don't. So, the Grishaverse Soldier, Summoner, Saint. Orphan and expendable, Alina Starkov is a soldier who knows she may not survive her first trek across the Shadowfold, a swath of unnatural darkness crawling with monsters. But when her regiment is attacked, Alina unleashes dormant magic not even she knew she possessed. Now Alina will enter a lavish world of royalty and intrigue as she trains with the Grisha, her country's magical military elite, and falls under the spell of their notorious leader, the Darkling. I've heard a lot about the Darkling. I feel like it's like a Warner situation thing, where everyone loves Warner. He believes Alina can summon a force capable of destroying the Shadowfold and reuniting their war-ravaged country, but only if she can master her untamed gift. As the threat to the kingdom mounts and Alina unlocks the secrets of her past, she'll make a dangerous discovery that could threaten all she loves and the very future of a nation. I believe there's a best friend relationship between Mal. I think Mal's her best friend, but I'm not 100% sure. But it's just a guess. I don't actually know. I'm hoping so, because you know me, no, I'm trash for best friends, but it's like, this was recommended to me based on Raven Boys, which, the different parts within that is like, this is fantasy, and the Raven Boys is more magical realism, urban fantasy, whatever you want to call that. It takes place in the real world. This one does not. It takes place in its own fantasy world, so we'll see how I feel about this. I'm not the biggest fantasy fan. Like, it's okay. This seems like lighter, and it's not like super complicated as some fantasies can be. Like, I feel like some fantasies, it's just like, if it's kind of complicated, I just cannot get into it, and it's easier for me to just pick up a contemporary where I know the world already, so it doesn't have to be explained to me. Then we have Paper Towns by Sean Green. This one is about this boy, and he's like, I think he's like obsessed with this girl or something, or he likes her, and then one night she goes on, she wants to do all these things, and she invites him along, so they go and do all these things, and then the next day she just disappears, and he's trying to figure out where she went, I believe. I'm pretty sure I know how this ends, but I haven't seen the movie since it came out. Reading the synopsis though, Quentin Jacobson has spent a lifetime of loving the magnificent Margot Ross Spiegelman from afar, so when she cracks open a window and climbs back into his life, summoning him for an ingenious campaign of revenge, she follows. When their all-nighter ends and a new day breaks, Margot has disappeared, but Q soon realizes that there are clues, and they're for him. There's the clues stuff, right. Embarking on an exhilarating adventure to find her, the closer Q gets, the less he sees the girl he thought he knew. So, I think there's like a road trip or something, so maybe I'll like that. I just remember not liking the movie that much. So let's see how I feel about this. And I was recommended this one based on Fangirl. They're not similar. Then we have Love Letters to Dad, which was recommended me based off Better Off Friends. I don't know if there's a similarity. I haven't read the synopsis. I can't remember what this one's about, so I'll read it to you. It begins as an assignment for English class. Write a letter to a dead person. Laurel chooses Kurt Cobain because her sister May loved him, and he died young just like May. Soon Laurel has a notebook full of letters to the dead, to the people like Janis Joplin, Heath Ledger, Amelia Earhart, and Amy Winehouse. So she never gives a single one of them to her teacher. She writes about starting high school, navigating the choppy waters of new friendships, learning to live with a splintering family, falling in love for the first time, and most importantly, trying to grieve for May. But how do you mourn for someone you haven't forgiven? It's not until Laurel has written the truth about what happened to herself that she can finally accept what happened to May, and only when Laurel has begun to see her sister as the person she was, lovely and amazing and deeply flawed, can she truly start to discover in her own path. In a voice as lyrical and as true as the favorite song, Avery Dellaria writes about one girl's journey through life's challenges with a haunting and often heartbreaking beauty. Just kind of what I somewhat expected, I think, based on the title of this book. It's hard-hitting contemporary, which I own, but I don't necessarily reach for as much. I usually reach for the more fluffy contemporary side, or happy contemporary, because I'm just like a happy person. I don't really read a lot of hard-hitting stuff, but I am interested in reading this. It recommended me because of Better Off Friends. Then the last one we have is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. This is my sister's book, so I actually own this one. This book is about this society, again, fantasy, and they live in this world where there's like red bloods and silver bloods, and then like the silver bloods have powers, and then the red bloods don't. The red bloods are like looked down upon, and they're poor and stuff like that, and then this red blood is born with powers. So I already know what this is about. So I don't feel like I need to read the synopsis to you, because I know. If I had to order them in excited to least excited on which ones, well, let's do predictions now and what I think I'm going to like the most, and which ones I think I'm not going to like. I feel like I can either love and hate all of them. So, you can't really tell exactly the whole list. But, based on the synopsis, I think I'm going to like Love Letters to the Dead the best, then Shadow and Bone, then Red Queen, then I Sold Myself to the Devil, and then Paper Towns is the thing I'm going to like the least. I will start on all these soon, and you'll hear all of my thoughts. Hopefully I like them. That's the hope that'll come out of this video, but might not happen, so we'll see. Hello. So, I have decided, trying to figure out my order on how I want to do these things, because I want to start with like my most excited to read, but at the same time I don't want to start with my least excited to read, because I want to start this off on a good note. We are going to start off with, I could not hold this book. This book is heavy. We're going to start off with Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I remember this book came out. I remember when I saw the trailer for this book, and then it became like so hyped and talked about. I'm listening to the audiobook of it, because like none of the other books I can get is audiobooks, and I feel like it'd be good to have like an audiobook going through the whole time, and this is kind of just like it's fantasy, which I don't typically reach for. I have a couple fantasy books that I bought like a while ago when I was more into that, but I'm more of a contemporary person now. I mean, who knows? I do like fantasy sometimes. I like urban fantasy and I like magical realism. This is not that. I'm currently 30 pages into it, and it's good so far. I don't really have like a lot to tell you, but I will say I did start listening to the audiobook back in, what was it? This summer while I was on my Eastern Canada trip. And I remember, like, even back then when I was started listening to it, like, I kept comparing it to The Selection, though that was my last read at that point in time, which is what this is supposed to be compared to according to Goodreads. So I do see the comparison, like, there's some similar things going on, in a sense, like, though Ilya, like, in The Selection is not at war, they have, like, guards and stuff like that, and people are going to get drafted, and that was, like, a whole conversation at the beginning of the book, and then here, there's, like, what's the word? It's not drafted, but like drafted essentially. That's like a whole conversation in this one. And so, I don't know, the beginning reminds me a lot of The Selection. I mean, they both come from poor families. And then we got the best friend character in here who's kind of my comparison here is Aspen, but like I like him better than Aspen so far. Also, I'd finished like Prince Charming recently, and I wanted to read another royalty book, and I was like, like, this sucks, I can't read, like, I was trying to find one, and I'm like, I can't find one anywhere, this is gonna suck. And then I remembered, Red Queen has royalty in it. I'm pretty sure her love interest is a prince. Again, selection comparison. She is with Prince Maxon in the selection, so like, there's some, I am setting the similarities more so with this. I know it's not identical, and it's not going to be like a whole competition thing, I don't think. But I am excited to get more into this to see how similar it is in the selection. I don't think it's going to be that similar. Because a lot of these books I didn't think were going to be, but we'll see. Will I recommend this to fans of the selection? My sister loved this book, and she adores the selection, so probably. We'll see once I get more through it, and I can give you more opinions. Okay, so I'm about 100 pages into Red Queen. I'm on page 115 currently, and I'm liking it. It's fine, I guess it's good. So, what do these books so far have in common? There's a lot of, like, similar things that, in a sense, happen, but they all happen for, like, different reasons, if that makes any sense. They both come from poor families. There's, like, a war going on or whatever, so there's, like, the draft in this one, and then there's, like, the conscription in this one. They're the same thing where you're taken, essentially, like, you don't really have a choice, but you're taken and you have to become a soldier and go off to war or something like that. And then they're both taken to the palace, and they both don't want to go there to the palace. They think it's a cage, and they both romance princes. There's a lot of similarities I'm coming up with this as I read through it, because I'm reading it based off the selection. There are similarities that do pop up throughout both books, so I'm seeing the similarities personally. They both have big families. Another similarity. You both have younger sisters and older brothers. Based off the similarities I can find, if those similarities interest you, then definitely read Red Queen, or other way around, read the selection. Pretty sure there's a love triangle between the two princes, so, in this one there's a love triangle between her boyfriend and the prince. There's love triangles too. That's another similarity. Oh, I'm just gonna keep going. That's the similarities. As for the book itself, I am enjoying it. It is good, it's interesting, it's a good time. I haven't really reached for this genre in a while because I've been reading a lot of contemporary. It's kind of just fun jumping into another world because I've been reading a lot of books that take place in the real world. I also love Cal. My sister keeps telling me to love Maven. The book seems to want me to want her with Cal. My sister's like, you like Maven, like Maven. I'm just telling you, you need to like Maven. I haven't really seen enough of Maven yet to have a good digest. I don't know what the word you want on his character. He's alright. Like, I've seen so much more of Cal. I've seen maybe, like, that much of Maven, and then, like, this much of Cal. Alright, so I have now finished Red Queen. Lots of thoughts here. I feel like there's so much, like, I can't go into because of spoilers. I don't want to spoil this book for anyone. Like, there's things I was prepared to say that I was like, oh, I could totally tell you this, but now I really can't. There's, like, a whole love triangle in this book, but I can't even talk about it without going into spoilers. Can't tell you my thoughts and opinions without going into spoilers. I will say, though, at the beginning, I didn't mind it. I liked both of them. Obviously something changed that, but I can't go into detail on to why. I honestly really enjoyed it. I felt like the story was really engaging. I enjoyed the plot line of it all, of where I wanted to know where the story was gonna go. I wanted to see Mare just, like, succeed in her goals, and all the characters really just somewhat, in a sense, succeed with their goals. I started crying at one point. There was a big twist, one that I did not see coming, and then, like, the last little final twist at the end of the book I predicted the entire time, so I was like, I knew it! So I was like, I freaking knew that one! I felt like it was really well written in the sense for the other big twist. When I was looking back on a lot of things after, like, the big reveal happened, I was like, oh yeah, now I, like, am connecting the dots in my head, and I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I see where that came from. Am I happy about it? Not really, but it's fine. This book made me feel a lot of things. I haven't really read, like, a fantasy dystopian kind of book in a long time. As for a comparison, obviously these two have their differences. They're two different books. They're not gonna be the same, like, whatever. But, like, there was a lot of similar things that happened in these books without them being similar. A lot of similar things happen to the characters, but, like, they're not in similar ways. When I get more to thinking, I wasn't even just comparing it to the selection, I was comparing it to a bunch of other things. Like, I think for Lovestruck players, if you played Reigning Passion, specifically Sebastian's Route, I would definitely recommend this book for that, because it reminded me a lot of that. The whole this whole, like, trust nobody, anybody can betray you plot line. That's, like, a lot of Sebastian's thing, the whole colds in this. I also really think that this book is, like, a combination of The Selection, The Hunger Games, and The Kiss of Deception, like, all in one. Like, if, like, you want to, like, those 3 books added together equals Red Queen. Because, like, as I was reading more through it, I kept comparing it to The Hunger Games, and Mare kind of just reminds me of Katniss. So I think if you like Red Queen, then you would like, I mean, I feel like most people have read The Hunger Games, and I feel like a lot of people have read the Selection series, but I don't think a lot of people have read The Kiss of Deception. So overall, it was good. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed this one, and I'm going to try to pick up the sequel next month. I think the first book I'm going to start with, besides Red Queen, is I Sold My Soul to the Devil for Vinyls, I'm sorry, by whoever it was. I haven't started it yet, but I will. And my only comparison so far is the fact that the guy is mysterious, such as Archer, and the fact that it's also a Wattpad book. Are they actually similar? Who knows? Started reading I Sold Myself to the Devil, and I don't know. I didn't like it. It's real cringy so far. I've read some Wattpad books. I've maybe read I've read a few. And most of them I've liked. But I'm usually like interested in the plot line and stuff like that quite a bit. Like the Jocks Blackmail, which I read a couple weeks ago, like that was just like a quick easy read, and it was like really easy to get through, and the writing wasn't like super cringy. But this writing is like really cringy. I tried. And like she's not even talking to the love interest yet. She's talking to like his brother. So there was like she's talking about how like people like hook up in the library or something, and I'm like, I think it's like a school library because I don't think it's like a public library. I feel like maybe school might make more sense, but public library, like it's still like it's not realistic. The freaking seminars, stupid room the size of freaking closet that students were supposed to use to study in little groups, but that was the only thing people didn't do in them. I didn't even go near them. The thing is, study rooms that I've seen have like kind of clear, like pretty clear windows, so like I don't think you could get away with that. But I mean, maybe there's other study rooms that I'm not aware of that are like completely closed, like off, but most study rooms I see are clear. It was simply disgusting. We were in a school, it is a school library, we're crying out loud, not in a brothel, and I feel like a study room even in a school would be clear. Don't worry, babe, Drake answered with one of his seductive smiles. The girl grinned again and stuck her tongue in his mouth. Wow, way to go, girl. It's all about girl power, I thought dryly and rolled my eyes. Drake Eaton was, as anyone could easily guess, the school jock. Every girl wanted him. Every guy wanted to be him. Blah, 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 blah. All this was way too predictable for me. Now sitting behind the counter, I picked up the encyclopedia and started turning pages. A few minutes later, blah, 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 blah. Some stuff happened with him and the girl. This isn't even the love interest. I thought he was for a moment, and I was like, oh no, oh no. Of course, my smiling didn't go unnoticed. What are you staring at? He asked me rudely. A public humiliation, I answered, grinning even more. That's funny. I thought you were drooling over my perfect body, he replied with his cocky attitude. Well, it's not like I hadn't noticed how hot his perfect muscled chest was. Pretty much everything about him was hot, starting with his perfectly tousled golden brown hair, his gray eyes, and his athletic tall body. But I sure as hell wasn't drooling over him. Oh yeah, baby, you got me. I can't stop myself from staring at your fake cretin boost up body, I mocked and rolled my eyes. I wasn't going to lose some of my precious minutes over the arrogant fool. He's not the love interest, so that's the good thing. I feel like the writing's it reads like Twilight fan fiction or something. I don't like the writing style currently, so that's been hard to get into. I don't really want to read that right now. I started reading more of the I Sold My Soul to the Devil for Vinyls. I realized it's vinyls and not vinyls. I've been pronouncing it wrong for this whole time. I don't know why. I was just, for some reason I thought it was vinyls, and it's vinyls, so it's fine. I've made notes, and I'm only on chapter 3, and I have quite a lot of notes. There's a best friend character, and she doesn't romance him, cries. So I'm sad about that. But then the whole relationship with the best friend was weird. So I'm not overly upset that that's not a thing, because they have a really weird relationship. This whole book's weird. It's a whole mess, and I don't understand why it's popular, because it's really a mess, and it's a disaster, and I just don't get it. The main character's really unlikable for me, personally. I don't like her, but, I don't think she's supposed to be an unlikable character. She's supposed to be a character you like. Honestly, okay, the thing is, I can't even really tell you the plot of this book. I don't know the point of it. What's the plot? It's a love story, I guess. I know it's a love story, but like I don't. There's not like anything else. It's like about a girl falling in love with a popular guy. I guess that's the plot. The plot feels like there's no plot in it, if that makes any sense at all. I don't understand. And like, if I wasn't reading it for the purpose of this vlog thing, I wouldn't read it. I don't like it. I'm not enjoying it. It's making me annoyed. And there's a scene where she's in a, like, I was just finding, this is just random things I found. There's a scene where she's in her walk-in closet, and she's like, it's more like a janitor's closet, so she's complaining about having a walk-in closet. The plot makes no sense, and I don't know if there's a weird plot line. I've been, like, looking into this because I was really confused, because I'm starting the book, and the guy she falls in love with is named Blake, right? And then she keeps mentioning this Drake guy, and this is the only other male character besides her best friend that keeps showing up. And Drake has the same last name as Blake Eaton, so Drake Eaton and Blake Eaton. And I'm like, are they brothers or something? And she like fall in love with his brother, which honestly sounds like a more interesting plot at this point. No, either the author wrote his name wrong. I don't know if, well, she wrote his name wrong. I don't know if it's accidental or on purpose. I don't know if they're someone said there's a plot line for it, but also someone said there's not. I don't know if it's supposed to be just a spelling mistake, or she was writing it as Drake at the time, or there was some autocorrect thing. I don't know what it's about, but it's weird. I don't understand if she's like just doesn't know his name and she's calling him Drake, or if she does and this is just a spelling error. I just don't understand any of this. It's a confusing mess, and I'm getting really bored, and I just don't care. So I'm gonna give it, I don't know, there's 90 chapters in this book, so I'll give it the first 15 chapters, how about, and if it just is not interesting me enough at that point to continue, I'm not gonna finish it, because I think at 15 chapters I should be able to tell you, like it's 90 chapters long or something ridiculous, so I think at the 15 chapters I should be able to tell you if it's similar to In 27 Days, which it isn't at all, so. I got my light here. I figured it out. Look, my computer is giving me light. I'm reading. There's only been like 10 minutes that maybe it's passed since I did my last update, but I'm reading. I feel like I could give you live reactions. I'm having a lot of live reactions to this. She's like, so apparently, yeah, she has been calling him Drake the whole time, and it's wrong. But I'm like, was that a needed plot point? Did we need that? I don't think we did. She's like, why had I always thought it was Drake? Why? Why had you always thought it was Drake? I don't know. This book is a struggle to get through. And, like, also, so far, the romance, I really don't like strongly. Because, like, he's kind of just, like, he keeps, like, making sexual comments about her. Like, everyone keeps doing that. Like, Alex is like, let's find you a slutty dress. And then, like, which is what she's trying to do. Because she's trying to, because she's mad at her mom and she's rebelling, I guess. The whole romance, I don't see it at all. Maybe because it's, like, not happening yet, obviously. But I don't see it. What is it supposed to be? I don't know. It's basically, like, he's making a lot of sexual comments, like, oh, let's, like, get it on the back, like, those kind of things. Like, those, like, I can strip you down right now. It's like, stop, please, stop. It's problematic, too, this book already. Like, why does this book have so many problems? And it's, like, the beginning of the story, and I hate it. Alright, I'm reading this live now. I'm done. I feel like I have a lot to say. So, first of all, before I get deeper into this story, it's like, so, basically, what's happening, so she has, like, a bad relationship with her mom all of a sudden because her mom decided that she's leaving her and her dad because the dad is working too much and he just doesn't seem to care. But it's kind of become obvious that she actually left him because she has another boyfriend. So, tea. So now, she's, like, run into Blake at this is where I'm starting to get invested somewhat. I don't really understand. But she's run into Blake at this restaurant, and he's kind of just, like, saying all those sexual comments, which I just really didn't like, and it was a big turn off. I was like, no, no, just stop. This is the restaurant she's meeting her mom at, and then the mom comes with some boyfriend. I don't know if he's young or not. They made a comment about how he looked 15, but I'm not sure if it's true. I'll have to get deeper into the story. Blake was making remarks that, like, oh, is this your boyfriend? No, it's her mom's boyfriend. And then Blake all of a sudden decides to be nice. This is where I'm like, redemptive arc. Makes up an excuse so, like, she doesn't have to talk to her mom, and this new boyfriend is just, yeah. So I don't know if, like, a fake relationship's gonna come out of it. It should. But, like, if it doesn't, I'd be kind of mad. I'd be like, what is this story trying to be? It went from hating each other, well, I mean, he didn't really hate her, but she hates him, and all of a sudden, they're, like, friends. Of course this dude drives a Lamborghini. Oh, sure. Okay. Okay. So we got this line. He's trying to drive her home. Like, I keep pausing, like, every 10 seconds to tell you something. This is how... There's a lot to tell you, but Blake's like... he's trying to drive her home or something like that. He's like, come on, just get in. I'll try to keep my inappropriate comments to a minimum on the way. A minimum should be none. Thanks, bub. But at least, I mean, he's aware that he makes very inappropriate comments. So he should stop that. Like, now. Alright, finish chapter 3. No fake relationship. Yet. The story's so confusing! And, like, I get Wattpad stories can be a mess, but, like, there's a lot that aren't. This is the biggest mess I've read on Wattpad. There's a reason I don't read Wattpad books often. So, basically, he's, like, driven her home, and now he's like, oh, now you owe me, and, like, I'm gonna expect payment, and, like, for what? And it's kind of just, like, taking advantage of her. Alright, let's discuss. I sold my soul to the devil for vinyls. Pitiful. I know. This book was too problematic for me to continue. I have decided to DNF it after chapter 11, which I'm going to go into. I have written notes. I have a lot of thoughts. I was reading reviews on Goodreads and people were like, oh, it gets so much better. I had a lot of problems with this book. To confirm what my thoughts were last time, the mom's boyfriend is a teenager, so that, you know, that's great. They keep making Blake out to be this terrible, gross guy, so I don't know why she's romancing him. Like, there'll be some moments where I'm like, I see his nice side, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting, but then there's also other moments where he's just, like, an F-boy, and it's kind of annoying. Also, Blake's all like, you owe me, and, like, first of all, she didn't ask him to help her out in the restaurant with her mom, and second of all, I don't see why she'd have to do anything he says. And she didn't even consent to him helping her. She had no knowledge she would have to owe him in some way anyways, so she doesn't technically have to do anything, which I think does come up. She's like, well, I'm not going to, and then, like, she just kind of agrees to help him. She's like, sure, why not? Because all I wanted to know was what she was gonna owe him that she really didn't have to, but it wasn't as bad as I was expecting it, because she's making it out to be this bad thing. You have to, like, run naked in the hall and get expelled, or, like, have sex with him, and I'm like, that's just kind of problematic, and that's kind of weird. I just got also just very bored reading this book. Like, there was problems at some point, but there was also, like, it was just dumb. Sorry for the squeaking going on in the background. My dog is playing with the toy. I can't, this book seems to drag on for so long. Apparently they don't kiss till, like, the 60th chapter, but, like, I don't care about that. Love slow burn relationships. So I should like this book, right? And it's just like, I cannot read this dragged on random crap for 87 chapters. Like, I feel like if it was shorter, maybe I would read the whole thing, but because it's so long, I really don't want to. The book didn't really start till, like, chapter 11 in a sense. Like, I finally felt like we were going somewhere, because, like, that's when or chapter 10, is it chapter 10? And chapter 10 something. Chapter 11, 12, I don't know. Somewhere around then. But, like, that's when they finally, like, make this deal, which I think should have been, like, actually, like, at the beginning of the book more so, instead of all this dragged out crap that we got. The banter's also really cringy, but we knew that. I also started comparing him to Nikolai from Lovestruck, which, for those of you who don't know, I really hate Nikolai, in the sense that he's kind of controlling and he thinks too highly of himself, but however, he is better, I guess, than Nikolai. Is it bad that I felt more invested in the relationship with her brother, the brother had with her best friend? I think that one was less problematic, so, Blake's also an F-boy, which we knew that, but it seems like literally that's literally all he does. Like, that's his big personality trait. Like, there's no other personality besides that. He's just the guy that screws with girls and will make sexual comments at girls. We also get, like, a lot of, like, random knowledge at, like, some point, and it wasn't, like, introduced beforehand, but it's kind of weird that it wasn't introduced, that you're, like, really confused. Like, in the last chapter, it was all, like, Alex, the best friend character, it was all of a sudden, like, revealed that he and, Lexi, the main character, dated at one point, which you think would be introduced at the beginning of the book when, like, the whole thing started. Like, you think it'd be, like, introduced, like, oh yeah, Lexi and Alex used to date, but it was kind of just, like, randomly thrown in there. And then another thing was, like, Blake and Alex are apparently friends, and that wasn't really mentioned. Like, she hates this guy, and everyone knows she hates this guy. Like, I feel like a lot of this stuff should have been, like, introduced beforehand. Like, it didn't need to be introduced when it was, because it's kind of just, like, random, and then you get really confused in the way that it's done. On the other hand, of all of this story being, like, problematic and sucky and whatever, I do think, however, it would make a great episode story. I feel like the thing is, when we're comparing it back to In 27 Days, they're not similar. The fact that, like, the only similar thing about them is that they were both published on Wattpad at one point. Like, there's no similarities between Blake and Archer at all. They are two different people. And there's no, like, similarities between, like, the main characters. There's no similarities in the plot line. Like, the only thing is that it's Wattpad. Like, I thought maybe there'd be, like, some, like, devil plot line or something. Like, if it involved death, like, I get that, because that's what this book involves, death. But no. Like, this book, when I read, like, the reason I love In 27 Days so much is when I was reading it on Wattpad, it felt like reading published literature. When I read I Sold My Soul to the Devil on Wattpad, it reads like an episode story. So, I was comparing it a lot more to It Starts with a Bra, rather than In 27 Days. I don't think they're similar at all. I would not recommend it for fans of In 27 Days. I don't think you will like it as much. Or, you might like it, but you probably won't. However, if you like It Starts with a Bra, then I think you would probably like this. But I don't really, again, recommend it. But I don't recommend It Starts with a Bra either. I was looking on Goodreads, though, and It Starts with a Bra is one of the things that does come up. You might also like It Starts with a Bra, because it's like, or The Bad Boy Stole My Bra, I guess that's the title, but whatever it's called. But that book is now also published, because It Starts with a Bra is a book. They're both problematic in their own ways. Like I said, this is why I would make a great episode story. I think episode should totally buy this and adapt this, because it reads exactly like everything else that they have written on their app. Like, I think this should be, like, one of their featured stories, because it, you know, is, essentially. I mean, like, if episode's looking for stories to adapt, and they have run out of ideas, then this is the one. But I think they have, like, a group of writers, so I don't know if they really do that anymore. But I know they did that with It's Just the Bra and a couple of other books, too. Some other guy referred to Lexi as Blake's next target, so, you know, making girls women objects, that's great. But then her male friends defended her with the whole, like, object target thing, so I guess not all men in this book suck. Also, when I was reading a lot of the reviews, a lot of people didn't like Lexi, and they said she's slut-shamed and stuff like that, which I totally see. But honestly, like, I didn't really have, like, strong feelings towards Lexi, like, hate or love. Like, a lot of people, like, that was their big issue was Lexi, but my big issue was Blake, to be honest. She's also a tomboy, so she's like, I'm not like other girls. She's one of those people. Tyler lets Blake into her house while, like, no one else is home. Just her. And then Blake. Blake, the thing is, I find that so unrealistic, because what kind of sibling lets the person that they know that you hate into the house? Like, that just wouldn't happen. Like, my sister would never let someone I hate into the house. Like, if I don't really like them, she wouldn't let them in, like, while she goes. She's like, bye, have fun with that. Like, she wouldn't do that. And, like, they're close, too. Like, everyone just seems to be like, oh, like, you hate Blake. That's, like, why would you do that? Like, there's reasons to hate Blake. I don't like Blake, so he's problematic. He has, like, good times, but, like, he's also problematic. And then, the reason I stopped reading it. Because I did tell you guys I was going to give it until chapter 15. I realized I could not do that. I want to read this out loud, because I feel like this explains why I didn't continue on, and this is my main reason why I'm not continuing on with this book. I probably would have DNF'd it if it hadn't got more interesting, but I was just like, I was debating it, and then this is, like, solidified it for me. They made the deal, which, if you want to know what that is, if you want to be spoiled, or whatever, then basically, like, he just wants her to tutor him. Like, I was like, oh, well, that's not really that bad as she was making it out to be, and as, like, the story was making it out to be, so I don't think they should have, like, you know, made it so terrible. But, like, because it kind of just, like, says a lot about his character. Like, it makes you, like, not like him, which I guess is kind of the point, but also not the point. So, but it kind of got to a point where, like, he started, like, she didn't want to show, like, she was drawing, and she's, like, kind of just private with her drawings, which, like, I know people who are, like, it's kind of, like, I share my drawings out for people to see, but some people just don't do that, which is totally okay. He's trying to look at it, and she's like, no, I don't feel comfortable with you looking at this. So then, like, the phone rings, and she's like, well, if I move, I can't, like, he's gonna go looking at my drawings. So she can't go answer the phone. And then he answers it for her, and it starts saying some really inappropriate stuff. Which, again, is kind of, like they're trying to make this whole scene playful. Keep that in mind throughout this. They're trying to make it playful. So after he answers the phone, he's, like, talking to her friend, which is revealed. But, like, then I think somewhere in here, he gets on top of her, so she can't take the phone away from him, so he can say all this crap to her friend about, like, a lot of sexual stuff. But then she's getting uncomfortable with him being on top of her, which this is where my issue comes in. The thing is, she was uncomfortable with him on top of her. She kept asking him to get off of her. So, and, like, she's supposed to answer the phone. Like, he's just being really rude in this whole scene, and everyone's like a lot of people who have read this book and, like, commenting throughout the quotes, they're like, oh, like, you like it, blah blah blah, like, a bunch of crap like that. And, like, I don't care. Like, he's a love interest, but this whole scene is problematic. Like, I don't care if we're supposed to root for them, it's supposed to make me root for them, and, like, it's supposed to be, like, sexy and hot. Like, it's not. This is not. She's uncomfortable. Consent, that's sexy, but this is not. This is bad. So yeah, they're on he's on top of her. She's uncomfortable, asks him to get off multiple times. He doesn't listen. And, like, it gets to the point, like I guess she's, in a sense, I don't want to say overreacting. Like, everyone kind of found she was overreacting. They're trying to make a joke out of this, and it's not funny, and a lot of people called her out, the author out on this. She's, like, she's trying to tackle him to the ground and destroy the freaking phone, but instead, like, drop the phone and push me back on the bed, pinning my arms beside me. So she's uncomfortable here already. And he's like, aw, don't you love this? I know I'm enjoying it quite a bit. Blake says, smirking over at me. Like, it's trying to make it, like, he's, like, they're trying, like, I see what they're trying to do, but, like, it's problematic. And she's like, you effing idiot, what's wrong with you? I yelled at him, trying to lose the grip he had on my wrist. Like, just trying to get away from him because he's pinned her and she feels uncomfortable with him on top of her. Like, nothing sexual happens between them, and, like, it's not like he, like, touches anything that's inappropriate, so that's, like, the good thing, obviously. But this whole scene still screams problematic to me because she wasn't comfortable. Like, this position wasn't comfortable for her. Like, it's weird. Like, he needs to stop. He wasn't letting go. Instead, he grabbed both of my, like, so she's like, but instead he grabbed both my wrists in one hand, instead of my legs, and grabbed the phone again. So she can't essentially escape. I feel like us as the reader, like, we know he's not gonna obviously do that, and he didn't, luckily. But I don't, like, I feel like if you were in that moment, you wouldn't know. Especially, like, if she hates this guy, like, this is, like, severely uncomfortable. Now be a good girl, he said, before putting the phone in his ear again, and then he's just talking to her friend again. I wanted to yell again, but then I thought about it, and whoever was on the other side of the line would probably think worse things, like it was even possible. And he's like, well, same old Lexi, can't keep her hands off me. I don't blame her, though. I get it. But, girl, she needs more self-control. You need some more self-control? This Blake guy. Any closer and I would be in her pants. And she's like, I squirmed out in the room trying to get him off of me, but he just held my wrist tighter. I swear if you don't let me go, I'm going to. I started, but Blake cut me. Tie me up to your bed and spank me. Don't you think it was a little too cliche? I mean, I'm sure together we can come up with something more original. I wanted to argue, but Blake wasn't paying attention to me anymore. Anyways. He's like, oh, don't pay attention to us. We're not even mating yet, Blake trailed off, smirking. That's it. And then she says, Vanessa, call the freaking police. That bastard is trying to rape me, I yelled, so Vanessa would hear it. Then Blake says, don't listen to her. She's being delusional. He's on freaking top of me, for Christ's sakes, I yelled again. Yeah, but she likes it, Blake added. And at that point, I was done. So think about, seeing what you will, that just really screamed problematic to me. And I was at that point done with the story. And I was like, I can't continue. I don't want to root for this relationship. I think it has a lot of issues, and I don't think it's healthy, and I don't think it should be a thing in general. So that's what made me decide to DNF it. So I'm not going to continue with this book. I'm not going to read anything else she writes. And do I think it's any similar to N 27 Days? Absolutely not.